Yes, the online date from hell. And trust me, I know we've all had them, but this one was a doozy. So this was during the time when online dating was really just becoming popular. We had plenty of fish, Match.com, eHarmony, everyone's doing different ones. And I really was not that interested in checking out online dating. I had been divorced for quite a few years by that time. My kids were grown and gone, which was a really happy time for me in my life. And, I was just happy. But I started listening to family, friends, co-workers, colleagues, neighbors, people at the grocery store. Next thing you know, I'm jumping on online dating sites. And I did probably about three of them, the three that I mentioned, eHarmony, Plenty of Fish, and Match.com. All of them had similar profiles for me because, I mean, you are who you are, right? Anyway, now just to let you know a little bit about me, I'm kind of a cautious person, but some people would say super cautious. So for me, I did have a few rules for myself internally. One of them was I would always meet people in public, and not just in a public area, but actually in a public place where there are plenty of people around. There, you're not walking off somewhere else where there's hardly anyone around you. Things like that. Now, I say super cautious because I also will have sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes I will have friends meet at that same place. They wouldn't meet up with me, but they would be in the background. So, for instance, if I'm at a restaurant, my friends would be at that restaurant before I got there, and preferably before my date got there. That way, they could check that person out, see what he's about. Also, while I would have them engaged in conversation with me, my friends would go out and take pictures of their car and their license plate. Hey, you can't be too careful, okay? I know. Today, many people do their first dates by meeting at the other person's home. And then the next thing you know, there's a missing poster up about them saying, please help us find so and so. But I digress. So I am very, careful. I ask the person what they'll be wearing so that when I get there, I can, know where I'm going. Well, met at this really nice restaurant. And the gentleman had told me that he would be wearing a black shirt, a dress shirt, but that turned out to be pretty basic because when I got to the restaurant, there were a few fellas there with, black dress shirts on. And I'm not the type to go up to different tables. Hey, are you Willie? Oh, are you Willie? Reminds me of the book, Are You My Mother? But anyway, so I made it clear when I got there that I was looking for someone that I may not be familiar with. And soon this gentleman raised his hand and he waved me over to his table and he goes, are you Sherry? And I was like, yes. But I didn't think he was the person I was looking for. And you'll find out in just a few seconds here. So I said, and you are? He goes, it's me, it's Willie. And I was like, you're Willie? He said, yes. Why? And I said, why? Is because your profile said you were 53. Now, at this time, I was 46. So I said anyone between the ages of, 48 to 53, I would even do 55 would be fine for me. This guy wasn't. And he said, oh, yeah, I need to talk to you about that. He said, have a seat. And I'm thinking, what can you tell me that I'm not seeing already? You won't believe this, but this guy was 73, not 53. And it was a very clear 73. So the first thing I said is, why did you use younger pictures on your profile? And why did you tell me you were 53? You guys are not going to believe what he said. Well, I hadn't been on dating sites or anything, and my son was helping me out, and he told me that I should, not tell the truth about my age. So I said, "Is your son here?" And he was like, "No, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, I'm going to hit you on the head first, and then I'm going to hit him on top of the head." So now I was really surprised that this guy would try such a thing in a state where we have carry conceal. But I'm just joking. I don't believe in violence or physical altercations, but I think on that particular time, he was lucky if it didn't happen to be carrying on that night. But I digress. That was the first, well, a couple of clues by that time. It was my shock. I was like, should I stay? Should I go? I mean, what do you make of the night? I'm already thinking in my head. He wasn't truthful, so we all know that. Second of all, well, I'll get to that as well. So the waitress comes over to our table. I've decided, okay, I'm dressed, I'm here. What the hell? We place our order. And then we made a little, small talk. I was like, okay, do you have anything else to tell me? Like, do you have five kids instead of three? And, that kind of thing. So he was like, no, no, everything is fine. And then he goes, do you hold on? Can you hold on a second? I have got to make an important phone call. Now, we all know normally when you're doing online dating, blind dates, meeting people for the first time, usually you have someone call you and then you can pretend like it's an emergency and you're out the door. But I was like, sure, go ahead. So this guy gets on the phone and I'm sitting there, so he's on his cell phone and I can hear the conversation. Well, I can hear his end of the conversation. And it goes something like this. Yeah, yeah, it was a good idea. Uh-huh. Yep, she's here. She's here. No, she showed up on time. She was on time. Okay. I'm thinking she can hear you, but let's see where this goes. And then he goes, yep, yep. Oh, she's beautiful and she's smart and she's funny. I'm like, that's a lot of information you got in just 15 minutes, but okay. And then he says, hold on, I'll see if she wants to. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this can't be some kind of dinner scam or online, well, could have been an online dating scam, but in that place, when you're meeting someone, it's kind of different than the online dating scams that they have now, where you're falling in love with someone that lives 3,000 miles away. You've never met him and you find out he doesn't exist, but you've given him your life savings. But again, I digress. So he says, here's the phone. And I was like, the phone? Who is it? He says, it's my sister. She wants to speak to you. Now, just with everything else I've already been through with this guy, I'm thinking, now, is this really going to be his sister? Or did he tell the person on the other line that I'm his sister and that person is his wife or something? Who knows? But anyway, I take the phone and I go very reluctantly or cautiously, I go, hello? And this woman says, hey, how are you doing? Your name's Sherry, right? And I go, yes. She said, I am so glad that you were there to meet with my brother. We've been trying to get him online and, helping him with everything. And he hasn't dated in a while. He's been divorced for years, the usual spiel. So I said, oh, okay. And I said, I have a question for you. Because at this point, well, you'll find out as you begin to watch my videos, I'm very straightforward. Not in a mean way, but people say the truth hurts, so I'll just say in a truthful way. So I said to her, may I ask you a question? And she goes, yeah, shoot. And I said, he told me he was 53 and he's really 73. And she goes, oh, I told him not to do that. She said, but he was listening to his son, and his son told him not to be truthful about his age. And I told him she's going to see you when she gets there. And he kept saying he'll explain it to you then. So I was like, oh, okay. So at least he had told me the truth about that. Because I was like, I mean, who knows, at this point. So she said, you seem like you're a really, nice person. And I'm really glad that you two are getting along really well. And I'm like, I've only been here maybe 20, 25 minutes at this point. But, I didn't say anything. And then she said, okay, do you have any questions for me? And I'm thinking, what kind of questions? First of all, what kind of questions would I have for you as a sister that's on the phone with him on a first date? I mean, should I ask her age? But I didn't. I said, no, I mean, because I'm the kind of person, I'm not going to ask someone else about you. I'll just ask you. But anyway, I gave him the phone back and he didn't stay on long. But again, I'm there so I can hear the conversation. He goes, yep, yep. Then he holds the phone. My sister says she likes you. Then it clicked to me. I said, I have set up a date with the fool and he comes from a family of fools. What the hell? So at this point, I'm like, okay, eat your dinner, get your drink, because forgot that part. When the waitress first came, and this was after he had divulged that he's 20 years older than what he had told me, and she asked if I wanted to have a drink, I was like, make it a strong one, please. So in the course of a conversation, we're talking and everything. And, I asked the usual questions that we have been asking each other for the past few weeks, through email by now. How long have you been divorced? How old are your children? That kind of thing. So as we're wrapping things up, you know, I don't know why I say wrapping things up. It's not like, you know, it was a business deal, but we're talking and we finished our meal and finished our drinks. And I already have made up my mind that I wasn't going to take this, further, only because he wasn't in the age group that I had wanted him to be in. And he had already proven himself. Well, I can't say proven himself as a liar because we all, I don't know, hold back information, omit stuff, don't don't say everything on the first date. I get that, but this was a biggie. So he asked if he could walk me to my car. Now, remember how earlier I said I'm very cautious when I'm meeting strangers and everything? I happen to have a personalized license plate. So normally when I meet people, I don't have them walk me to my car. I offer to walk them to theirs. And that way, they won't actually see my license plate or anything. And I mean, I'm not thinking I'm all of that folks will start stalking me after a 2 hour date. But again, I just like to be cautious. And if it doesn't work out, or if I don't want to see them again, I don't want them to be able to see my license plate somewhere in the city and they're like, oh, wait, I know her, So I offered to walk him to his car. And should have told you that during the course of the conversation over dinner, he had, mentioned to me that he was retired, 73. So yeah, I get it. And he had a BMW and he had his own place and he was just, wanting to enjoy life. So when I asked to walk him to his car, he kind of hesitated and I didn't really think anything of it because again, I wasn't going to take this situation further than where it was already at anyway. But he said, "Oh yeah, 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 you can do that." So we walk out to his car, you guessed it, not a BMW. Now I'm going to stop all of you right there. I really don't give a rat's ass whether he had a BMW or if he had a doggone limousine. It doesn't matter to me. As long as it's getting him from point A to point B, I'm fine with that. I'm not looking to have someone that makes a certain amount, looks a certain way, or has certain material things. I do that for myself. So I judge myself on what I have and make sure that I'm living in a comfortable way that I want to be accustomed to, but I don't, put that on other people or anything like that. So this vehicle was not only not a BMW, it was probably 17, 15 years old. And I know that because it looked it like a jalopy. Okay. So I'm thinking, I don't know if this guy has been truthful or honest about anything that he told me. And how do I even know that was his sister on the phone? Let's just be real. Sometimes your friends or someone would lie on your behalf, but there would be no purpose in a woman telling me she's his sister on the first date. Anyway, I don't have time. See what I mean? We don't have time to be trying to go through all of these what ifs and figure out what was the truth and what's not the truth. I'm like, who wants to do that? So, anyway, I walked into his car, and I have to tell you, as I said earlier, I'm pretty like straightforward and upfront. And I already knew that I wasn't going to see him again. So while we were standing at his car, I mentioned to him that, the reasons why I wouldn't be pursuing the relationship. And of course, one was the 20-year gap. I mean, that was just something I wasn't going to be comfortable with. So it wasn't a sense of me there wasn't any sense for me to act as if I would be. And then I didn't mention the car because that didn't matter to me. It mattered to me that he lied about it, but what can you say? And I just thought that it was odd that he and his sister were talking about future stuff as if it was already a done deal. But anyway, he understood, so that worked out really well. He didn't, insist on anything or asking me to change my mind or anything like that. He did thank me for coming out, and he thanked me for still sitting with him after seeing that he was, 20 years older, and he wished me well on my online dating experiences. Now, this is a lesson that was learned. So my videos are learning life lessons. So one of the things that I took from that was, of course, you want to speak to someone and see how they talk, or if you're writing and emailing them, see how they converse and how they communicate prior to going out to, or even agreeing to go out to meet someone, because you may see something in those communications that you don't want to pursue. So that's valid. And well, there were quite a few lessons. I never, to this day, I don't understand what that whole phone call to my sister while we were on the first date was about, but okay. And then what I did is I took those lessons for my next online dating experience. Now, if you think this one was a doozy, even with me applying the lessons that I learned from this one, the next one was totally out of this world. And I know that I am not the only person that's okay. We all know the old saying, you got to kiss a lot of frogs before you get to the prince. Listen, there are just some things that for me don't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, what can you do with it? But anyway, you'll be able to hear on my next video how that one turned out. Now, I did say I applied those lessons, so I did do the things that I needed to do on my end. But let's just say this guy was a step ahead of me. So, um, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. So I wanted to share that. If you have a online dating experience from hell, or something that just wasn't right, or you were able to miss a bullet, leave the comments below. I would certainly be interested in seeing some of those. This is Sherry Brantley. And for those of you who are lovers, I do have a website that you can visit. It's just myname.com. So it's Sherry Brantley, Brantley.com. Well, I should have spelled Sherry too. Sherry. So it's sherrybrantley.com. Hopefully, I'll see some of your comments. And if you have any tips, ideas, or suggestions, tell me what you would have done in that situation. I mean, I think I was pretty amicable, and I think I was pretty fair, considering the circumstances. Okay, see you soon.